Now, it's an expensive cut of meat, so I want you to perfect it. And this recipe for the perfect prime rib is gonna make sure that you do just that. It's gonna be so perfect. It's gonna be deeply roasted on the outside, perfectly cooked on the inside. And I promise you, this is the only foolproof technique you'll ever need to cook the most epic prime rib, whether it's for a celebration, like a holiday meal, or just like a really big fancy dinner that you're having and you want to make prime rib. This recipe will leave you so happy, and I'm going to walk you through each step, including what to ask for when you go order it at your butcher. Now, every grocery store, every butcher will allow you to make a specific order, right? To place a specific order for the size you are looking for. I think the perfect size is an 8-pound, 3-bone prime rib roast. That to me will feed a good 16 people, because if you think about it, the slices won't be like this thick. You'll be able to serve about, I would say, 4 slices per bone. Now, here's another thing I want you to ask for your butcher. I want you to tell them to take the bones off, reattach them back on, and French those bones so that there's a lot of fat is removed. What that means is, I don't know if you can really see, but the bones are actually removed from the rib roast itself, meaning when this is roasted to perfection, you can take this entire piece off and you'll be able to slice your roast perfectly without having to worry about cutting in between the bone and how you're going to divide those slices evenly when there's a bone in the way. And I have them reattach the bones back on because it acts like a built-in rack, right? It builds like a built-in roasting rack. It elevates your roast from the bottom of your roasting pan, and also you can use those ribs to either snack on, the bones to snack on, or you can make a really delicious stock with those roasted bones that will give you another recipe that you can work with. So always have them reattach back on, and they'll use just this. They'll use kitchen twine to reattach them, and then you're good to go. It's trimmed for you, it's deboned, the bones are Frenched, so again, you don't have all that cartilage and that fat running in between. And I'll write it for you in the description exactly what to ask for. Now, I like a bit of a fat cap. I think that is sort of the pleasure of a prime rib roast. So you see the fat cap is not too thick, but it's there, and it's also going to protect your roast from drying out. This is perfection. This is about an 8.5 pounder, and she is a beauty. My oven is preheated to 500 degrees. This has been sitting at room temperature for about a half an hour, which is really important. And I'm gonna go ahead and make this in my stainless steel skillet because you don't need a specific fancy roasting pan to make this recipe. We're gonna start off by flavoring this roast. I keep it very simple. I stud it with garlic and rosemary because it's a beautiful flavor combination and it goes great with everything on my holiday table. Take a very sharp, very pointy paring knife. You're gonna make a slit like that, deep enough to take a very thin sliver of garlic. This was just a clove of garlic that I sliced thinly, and a couple pieces of rosemary. You're gonna unite the two and you're gonna stuff it just like that. And because this is going to have a long cooking time, that garlic is going to infuse throughout the entirety of your roast, and continue to do that all over the surface until you've got quite a bit of garlic and rosemary hidden in there. Now this is what it should look like. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to salt and pepper it first because I like my seasonings to touch the meat. I don't want my seasoning to touch the mustard that I'm going to put on this, which is a must-have. Don't skip that part. Now, I know that prime rib is definitely like a very splurge meat. It's a very splurge cut of meat and protein. It's definitely for a special occasions. And if it's not something that you want to splurge on, I have a fantastic eye-round roast recipe that has the exact same flavor profile. I'll flip this over in a minute. I'm just going to pepper it. That has the exact same flavor profile, and I walk you through and I show you how to roast it perfectly so that you have a medium rare interior, so it gives you the same flavor profile, a really great roast vibe, but on a budget because it's much more cost effective. So I'm just going to go ahead and season it on both sides. I don't want to get this hand dirty because this is the hand that I touch I'm going to clean the outside of my pepper mill, don't worry, but this is the hand that I touch the salt with. So I'm just gonna season both sides. Hold on. I'm gonna take a little bit of mustard. This is some Dijon mustard, which is what you wanna use. You can kind of either brush it or tap it. It just gives you like a nice tang. It helps get a nice crust. It's just lovely. You can tell the salt and pepper does not come off. I like to drizzle just a little olive oil. Now, this is the thing you need to remember. This is the only thing you need to remember when it comes to roasting your prime rib. Your oven's preheated to 500. You're gonna slide this baby in for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, you're gonna turn the oven down to 325. Never take this out of the oven. Don't even bother opening the oven. Once you turn it on to 325, you're going to immediately start timing it 15 minutes per pound for an internal temperature of 120, which puts you in the medium rare category. If you want your meat really rare, I would go 11 minutes per pound, which will give you like a 110 degree temperature, which would be really rare. So that's totally up to you. But my rule of thumb is 15 minutes per pound after the first 15 minutes at 500 and after you turn it down to 325. This will all be written in the recipe for you, but once you get that method down, you never need to worry about not an overcooked or undercooked prime rib ever again. However, 30 minutes before your timer is up, test it with a thermometer just in case your oven could be running really hot or it could run really cool. You just want to make sure you're in the right ballpark. So for me, like I said, 500 for 15 minutes, turning it down to 325, and I start timing it at 15 minutes per pound. And then I'll show you what it looks like when it's there, and then we'll pull together the horseradish sour cream, and while it's resting, we will make the gravy. My roast is done, it's resting. I took it out of the skillet. It's been resting under foil. You want it to rest for about 30 minutes. This is all the fat that it rendered. I don't need all of it. I'm gonna make a really easy, delicious red wine gravy. I'm just gonna keep back about less than 2 tablespoons. Those caramelized brown bits, those are like the good parts of the drippings. That has so much flavor. I'm gonna go ahead, that is really down. I'm gonna go ahead and add a shallot. If you like your gravy super smooth, you can go ahead and pass this through a blender at the end, or skip the shallot and just use a little granulated garlic and onion. I don't mind a few bits of shallots in my gravy because I think it's so delicious. While that sautés, which only takes a couple of minutes, you must have a sour cream, a horseradish sour cream to serve with your prime rib, which is, like, to me, a very iconic combo. And all you need is about a cup of sour cream, about 2 tablespoons of prepared horseradish. Make sure you taste it with 1 tablespoon, and if you want more, add more. And then I like to do a good pinch of salt and a grinding of black pepper. And that's all this takes. And you could really even do this way in advance and just pop it into the fridge. And then just top it with some chives when you're ready to serve it, which is what I'm gonna do. And the combination of everything together is next level. My shallots are looking fantastic. Oh, that is perfect. That is perfect. Shallots are looking great. They literally only take like a minute. They're very, very tender. They don't take as long as onions to cook. To that, I'm going to go ahead and add, I did it backwards. I'm gonna add some flour. This is the thickener to your gravy. I'm gonna combine that with all the fat drippings. Add your red wine. I like to, my timer's up. That means that the roast has had enough time to rest. Whisk that in. The handle is nice now. It's really, really hot, but it's no longer super hot. Let that red wine cook out for about a minute or so. Add the beef stock, and I also like to add a few dashes of Worcestershire. And I'm just gonna let everything bubble together, come to a boil, thicken, reduce, do all kinds of wonderful things. I will taste it at the end for seasoning because the bottom of that skillet had a lot of salt and pepper from the roast drippings. So once that's at the texture that I wanted, we will go ahead and carve it. But we will go ahead and turn it off the heat. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna clear up a little bit and we'll get ready to carve. This baby's been resting for a while. We are ready to carve. My gravy has thickened. This is how I like to do it, just because, like I said, I don't want to give people a whole big bone. I'm gonna cut my twine like so. Cut my twine like so, and watch. You can cut the whole thing, but the bone will come right off. Let me show you. I'm not gonna do a perfect job because I just want to show you what the inside looks like. Don't ruin it, Laura. It's much easier to remove the bone, which is why, look at that. That is gorgeous. We like a medium to medium rare. We don't like it very rare, so you can alter that. Remember, if you want it more rare, 11 minutes per pound versus 15 minutes per pound, but that is perfect to us. It's just gorgeous. It's gonna be so juicy, and the outside will obviously be more cooked, so you're gonna be able to really please a lot of people with their preferences. If somebody likes it more well done, which is never gonna be really well done, they can go with the end cut. But I'm gonna dip it in that gravy, which look how luscious that gravy is. That is the best prime rib ever. And this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna cut thin slices, and then everybody can serve themselves, put it on a really nice platter with some herbs around it. Make sure you have your pretty Christmas gravy boat, your horseradish sour cream. You are in business. I will have everything written for you on my website, laurainthekitchen.com, the full recipe, details, cooking times, and all that jazz. Hope you've enjoyed spending time with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.